Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tim, and this is another Real Ideal Gear review. Today we're looking at the Bulova A15 Pilot watch. This watch has a lot of nostalgic looks and feel to it, and it has, I think, a lot of great features that make this watch a really usable watch for everyday use. It also has a couple of things on here that, from my perspective, are big enough to knock it down substantially from that 10 out of 10 perfection. So let's get started with the 5 categories: size, fitment, finish, accuracy, legibility, and loom. So this is kind of your typical 42 millimeter across the diameter, across the case diameter. It is longer lug to lug, so keep that in mind for those of you with smaller wrists. This is going to be one that wears across your wrist fairly long. And I've combined this with a Horween Nato strap for a couple of reasons. One, I love the look of it. It has that kind of nostalgic early 20th century look, pilot look to it. It's also a very thin leather Nato strap. So I went with that thinking that I know Nato straps, you got that double layer underneath that just raises the watch a little bit higher off the wrist. But I wanted to go for it. This is one of those watches where I'll accept the additional height. But I also know that the crystal is a sapphire crystal, so that the scratching on the crystal itself is going to be less. It may be a little bit around the top edges of the crown, or I'm sorry, the bezel or the top edge of the case. It may get some more scratching just because it stands up so tall. But overall, the size, I think, is great. It's a high-profile watch, keep in mind, and it's also long lug to lug. As far as fitment goes, the original strap is great. It does give a little more compactness lug to lug because it's not a Nato strap. Nato straps just have that, I think, longer feel or longer look to them to start with. So the original strap, I think, does a better job. The adjustments are great. It's a great fitting watch. It has some mass to it, so it's not a lightweight watch. It's an automatic watch, so it does have some mass to it. But overall, the fitment, I think, is great. The finish, it has brushed sides. It has a polished above that, up close to the crystal, gives it kind of that tool and classy look at the same time. The crystal, a sapphire crystal. It's a raised sapphire crystal. I think it's called a box crystal. So you're going to get some distortion when you look at it from the edge. You'll see some video of that as far as kind of getting some distortion looks on the watch. But I think the overall finish of this watch is great. It has that casual to almost a little bit semi-formal look to it. Accuracy, it was a little bit off when I got it. I did adjust the timing on it so that when I put on the time grapher, now it does a pretty good job. It's within specs for sure, and it seems to be holding time. Legibility and loom, I love it. This is a great watch, easy to look at, easy to tell the time, orient the watch because of the numbers. The hands are great. The hour hand is very different from the minute hand, so that stands out. The loom, though, is below average. So when you look at this is another disappointment. It's just, I wish companies would just spend a little bit more money and get a little bit more loom. Seiko does a good job of having kind of a benchmark that lasts pretty much all night when it comes down to legibility at night. So this one does not. It fades out fairly quick. But it does look kind of nice. It's one of those watches, I think, that kind of gets in that dress category, so it doesn't have the best loom. Water resistance is 30 meters. It's a nostalgic looking watch. The hour and the minute crowns, they're internal. I'm sorry, the hour and minute bezels, they have crowns. The bezels are internal. The crowns are not screw-down crowns. Therefore, they do move around a little bit on the wrists. So keep that in mind. You're not going to have the most accurate timing with this watch when it comes down to those bezels, that hour bezel and the minute bezel. But it's nostalgic. You're giving up a little bit of that just for the flavor and for the look, and I think it's okay. It'll work. Is it an everyday use watch? Absolutely. With the sapphire crystal, that's a huge part of use for everyday. It has some brushed sides to it, so I think that minimizes some of the scratching. But you're going to get some high on the case. Between the case and the crystal is going to be some, that spider scratches and things like that. Keep in mind that the crowns on the 3 o'clock side do make the watch a little bit wider, but it's one of those things that you get used to. It's a watch that has those, and that's kind of why you buy it. It's a great value. Right now, I think it runs about $300. I got it for a lot less than that almost a year ago. And as far as $300 go, I think that's worth the $300. Just keep in mind that those internal bezels do move around. Those crowns don't screw down. The timing crown does screw down, if I remember right. I'm going to test it right now. I think... Oh, no, it doesn't. The timing crown does not screw down. I thought it did. But you can wind, hack. It hacks and hand winds, so that's all good. It's an automatic watch. I love the features for that reason. You just have to keep those things in mind. Again, great value. As far as an overall score, I give it an 8.9 out of 10. It just cannot fit in the 9 category. You know, the crowns that move a little bit too easy for the timing bezels, that's just a ding. The loom is just not bright enough. It should have been brighter. And then the lug to lug, and I know this is something that, you know, I've added a Nato strap on here, so I've added to that effect. But lug to lug, just a little bit shorter would have been nice. But that's the way it goes. It's not. So I would say 8.9 out of 10. It's not going to be in the 9 category for me. Is this a buy watch? Yes. Is it a must buy? No. I think this is a watch that when you're looking for a pilot watch, that's the reason why you're picking this watch up. And you're going to take a hit on a few of the features as a result of it, and the value, the cost. You're giving up a few things because of the lower cost, but I think the overall look of this watch is outstanding. So there you have it. My name is Tim. This has been another Real Ideal Gear review. If you have any comments, ideas, or questions, please put them down below. I do look forward to reading those, and I do respond to almost every one of those in a timely fashion. So keep up those comments and ideas flowing. Again, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.